The Savannah Tribune was first published in 1875. However, it was first titled the Colored Tribune until the name was changed in 1876 to what we know it by today. The one and only story taking up the entire front page is a sketch or transcription of a sermon given on the Sunday of that week. The sermon comes from the book of Genesis and was given by a Reverend Turner in St. James's Tabernacle. Since the entire front page is taken up by the sermon, there are absolutely zero advertisements or illustrations on the front page. More importantly, the sermon's placement on the paper goes to show readers how important faith was in Savannah at the time of publishing. Additionally, the front page is divided into three evenly spaced columns, somewhat small compared to papers of later times. 20 years pass and the Savannah Tribune looks a lot different by 1895. Most notably is the increased width of the page with 6 column spaces. This is most likely due to better printing hardware for finer printing and increased paper size. Another interesting addition to this publication is the well-detailed illustration of a house. The illustration is actually an advertisement for Reppard, Snedeker & Co. and their home improvement store. The inclusion of advertisements and illustrations shows how far this 1895 issue is on a technological level compared to the 1875 one. This issue's front page includes a timetable for the Central Railroad of Georgia with their appropriate departure times for trains at the listed stations. This table indicates that the paper was attempting to serve the interests of its readers who could find this information useful. The first advertisement in the paper is positioned at the very top of the page, while the company's name is in much larger font than regular headlines. This may indicate that the company paid the most money for that position on the page. As over a decade passes, the Savannah Tribune changes its front page as seen in this issue. Gone are the advertisements scattered around the page, including their illustrations. This front page is strictly news stories across 6 columns. The news itself ranges from national to international, with stories as close as the South and all the way to Russia. One story focuses on the Civil War, an event more than 40 years old by the time of publishing. However, the news involves the federal government unlawfully taking $68 million, which the general public would find relevant. In 1921, the Tribune advanced to an even more detailed publication with headlines topping each of the 7 columns on the front page. Carrying over from the 1907 publication, there are 0 advertisements on the page, meaning purely news. The headlines, and most notable the vernacular, are indicators of the times and societal views on race. With news stories about lynching and vocabulary such as Negroes, readers can understand this publication took place way before the Civil Rights Movement. This specific front page includes a photograph of a man who recently died, accompanying the story. This goes to show the technology in printing by inserting photographs instead of illustrations.